Hey, this is Tyrese Anderson. What I want to talk about today is how to avoid bad situations. So, for this video, I'm going to talk about how to avoid bad situations. So, which are situations where, of course, bad things happen. So, those types of things, simply put it, do not happen to you. So, first off, when it comes to avoiding bad situations that can happen, when it comes to things like crime, robbery, being assaulted, and this and that, is the first and foremost be aware of your surroundings. Okay, all the time. Okay, when you go to different places, or even if you go to a certain place at a certain time, and so on and so forth, maybe try your best to simply put it. Try to avoid going to certain types to those type of places. Okay, so if you're like, for example, taking a walk home from after you went to a place, and you know it's starting to get dark, I'm probably going to want to head home, especially if I'm right next to a park, which I know, for example, maybe you might have heard a few things that a lot of dodgy stuff goes on at nighttime. So that is simply the first way in life to avoid bad situations, is to simply put it, be aware of the places you go to and the time you go to, whether it could be a bad neighborhood or even maybe down to the time of the day. Now, the second thing I also want to bring up when it comes to how to avoid bad situations, simply put it, is simply down to the fact of if is to simply down to the fact of being aware of your surroundings in a different type of way, such as trying to avoid places that have people you don't like. So when it comes to being around people you do not like, to put it bluntly, if there's people you don't like, whether it could be maybe even an ex-friend or just people in general you never really got along with in the first place, and like let's just say for example, you have a bunch of friends who are inviting you to a party, and you know that person's going to be there, especially with the world we're living in nowadays, of course, because of the internet. You're probably going to want to do your best to kind of avoid places like that, and just in general try to avoid being around people, and just in general, like I was saying before, um, try to avoid being around people you really do not like. Because the thing what I've noticed about people who tend to cause problems or put people down and people who don't like you in the first place, as I'm certain a lot of people have realized, is that they don't have any such thing as chivalry, like like most people do, or at least good people more specifically do. They don't have any chivalry. There's no such thing as this is going way, way, way too low, even for my standards. They will take things usually as low as possible. You might at least like you might have had situations with someone at some point in your life where you said, we at least thought you came to a mutual agreement, like, okay, we have been fighting on and on for like weeks to months now. Okay, maybe let's at least kind of settle down, at least go our separate ways, mind our own business. And next thing you know, you hear that they're talking about you behind their back or starting to start something with you. People who, because truth be told, people who tend to cause problems and just in general like to bother you or hate you or put you down don't have, a lot of them don't really even in general have any morals. They will take things as low as possible. So if you're around people like that, it's, even in a situation where you're around other people who like you, maybe it's just best not to be around them because they might just do something to piss you off. For example, you might be at a party, minding your own business, actually having a good time, realizing, well, you know, I'm just gonna ignore this person and so on and so forth. And then you kind of think they're talking about you behind your back, or you might have someone come up to you randomly saying, "Hey, yo, why do you let him talk to you like that?" And you're like, "What?" And this is what I'm trying to say, especially if it's a female. Let's keep it real now. A lot of women are like that, when they start disliking you. So yeah, like if you're around someone who obviously likes to talk down on you or you're having issues with in general, even in situations like that, you don't really want to get in a situation where it might even result in a bit of a really bad verbal altercation or something. So in general, when you have people who don't like you, just avoid them. Any place that has anything to do with them, in any way, shape, or form, just try to avoid it. And in general, if you hang around people in general who like to hang around someone who you absolutely hate, it's not even a case that you don't like them. In life, you're always gonna have people you do not like, but it's a case of, okay, this is someone I really hate, and I actually have a genuinely good reason to hate this person because they simply put it have done literally everything to make my life hell. They try to spread rumors and this and that. Then those are just in general people you shouldn't really be hanging around with in the first place. If anything, those people deserve each other. If anything, to put it bluntly, those are not people you should be hanging around with because that shows that they don't take you seriously in some way, shape, or form. They don't respect you because a lot of those people who tend to do things like that, when they have an issue with someone, if you hang out with them, most likely they're probably gonna say, "What the hell you hang around with that person?" Or just in general like to talk to you about people they cannot stand and this and that and blah 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 blah. But when you have someone you absolutely cannot stand and they're just doing everything to piss you off, it makes you even question the character of the people who don't have a problem with that person. Like, do those people even love themselves anyway? If this is someone I really genuinely hate, to put it bluntly, you know, and it's not even that. Like, this is someone who you obviously know start shit. Why are they still hanging out with that person? Like it, like just in general, it shows that they don't. Maybe even they don't even love themselves. You know, they don't love themselves. In all honesty, so just in general, just don't hang around. Try to avoid people like that because they'll just set you up. They'll just do the same thing, and they're just gonna continue to do things to figure out how can I get you angry and bring out the worst in you. And that's how they're like. Okay, so let's get to the third point though, is that the simple last reason why, when it comes to things like how to avoid bad situations, is simply put it that in life, in all honesty, though, there are paths you can go down in life, to put it bluntly, that you really, really, really do not want to go down. In all honesty, and I just realized that the best thing in life to do sometimes is just to avoid the situation, analyze the situation first, to avoid being in a situation like that. Because when you get yourself in certain situations, to put it bluntly, you might have actually been on a path to living a happy life. Now, some situation happened, whether it could be someone who robbed you or even you got an altercation with someone and maybe you might have lost or whatever and all that stuff, and now your life is pretty much destroyed. You'll always be remembered for that, and then you have to do this and that and all these legal issues and this and that. It just becomes annoying and exhausting. So it raises the question of even in some cases, most depressingly, why are you even alive in the first place? If your life is this miserable, why are you even alive? But truth be told, what's done is done. You can't move on from it. So, so truth be told, in situations like, to avoid situations like that where you question why you even exist, it's just the best to kind of avoid certain types of situations, certain places, you know, or even just certain types of people. In all honesty, though, just try to avoid those types of things, and it'll it'll at least guarantee you a relatively stable, and if you're doing the right things, even not only a relatively stable but even a happy life for that matter, without um anything really 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 bad happening to you, and just ending up those people who just pretty much will literally admit, if you ask them, they haven't had very happy lives. So remember that, and remember, the more you remember those things and keep those things in mind, you should be on a path to living a much better, happier life. And that is all I have to say. I hope you learned something, and I hope you enjoyed the video. And that's all I have to say. So later.